So joining us this morning to discuss this shutdown in its first few hours is U.S. Senator for Louisiana, Dr. Bill Cassidy. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us this morning via Zoom in D.C. We understand it was a very long night, and obviously a lot of people involved in this discussion. Democrats holding strong to their belief that they have to discuss Medicaid cuts first. You are a doctor. Talk about why you believe now is not the time to have this discussion and you wanted to keep the government going. We do have 1.3 million people in Louisiana using Medicaid, 200-something plus thousand using the Affordable Care Act. Why not have that discussion first, sir?
Well, you're not going to solve it by tomorrow. Republicans stand ready to reopen the government. I stand ready as a physician to have a substantive conversation about health care. But what Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise have done, if they sent us an extension of the current budget for 7 weeks. So let's work out our differences over those 7 weeks, and then we can address issues such as that. Except what Chuck Schumer wants is tomorrow, today, he wants to get rid of the $50 billion fund that Republicans have installed for rural health care. He wants to restore money for transgender surgery for minors. He wants to, and I go down a list of things you're thinking, scratching your head saying, what? So we can work on those issues that you mentioned. And by the way, I'll point out that people are still going to get their Medicaid and they're still going to get their exchange policies under Republican policies. Those are kind of scare tactics of Chuck Schumer, but we can't do it today. And so the 7 weeks that Republicans are proposing is a time for us to work those issues out. But Schumer wants a shutdown, and that's why right now we're shut down.
And Senator Cassidy, the other major concern that you had as of just yesterday was the impact of the shutdown on the National Flood Insurance Program. About 500,000 Louisianians are on that program. Of course, millions more Americans rely on that program. We'll first talk about your concerns, and we'll discuss a little more after that.
Yeah, so National Flood Insurance Program, we're in the middle of hurricane season. If you have a policy now, the policy will stay in effect. But say you're closing for a house today. You're in St. Charles Parish, you're in JP, you're closing, and you have a federally backed mortgage, and you have to have flood insurance. Well, you're not going to be able to get that flood insurance policy today. So you're going to have to postpone your closing. That may be a minor inconvenience, but people kind of gear their life to a certain point, take time off to go meet somebody. It's one of those things that the Schumer shutdown is affecting that just kind of, it shouldn't happen. People should be able to live their life without the interference of like, oh my gosh, Chuck Schumer wants to prove he's liberal to his fringe left, and so he shuts down the government, and you're inconvenienced. That's just wrong.
And just yesterday, before the shutdown, it was a bipartisan bill on the U.S. representative side there. Congressman Troy Carter, Republican Mississippi Congressman Mike Ezell, and Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher from Texas introduced legislation to authorize funding for the flood insurance program through November 21st of this year. I guess ahead of the shutdown that now has happened. They did file that legislation. Did you hear about that legislation at all, and your thoughts on, I guess, essentially a stopgap measure while this shutdown does happen to protect the flood insurance program?
That would have had to have passed the House to come to us for us to consider. I know my good friend John Kennedy has introduced something similar, which I am a co-sponsor of, but that's not going to get through. Obviously, it didn't get through. And I'll just say that's one more example, this whole flood insurance thing, of why you need to keep the government open. And that's why Schumer's shutdown is so inconvenient. Republicans aren't saying, oh, we're not negotiating. We're saying, let's do it over the next 7 weeks. By the way, Democrats did this 13 times when Joe Biden was president, asked for extension of a current budget for a period of time to continue negotiations. Republicans supported them in that, and we've worked through our differences. That's what we're saying now. Current budget, 7 weeks, work through differences. Schumer says, nope, I want $1.5 trillion and more spending today. Otherwise, I'm going to shut down the government. That's more a political activity to appease his far left fringe than it is a commitment to the welfare of the American people.
All right, sir, we know you had to be done by 7:10 this morning, but we appreciate your time, and we will follow up as we know that your day will be quite busy handling this topic. Senator Cassidy, thank you again.
Thank you.